Hi, Dr. Sheila.
Hello, how are you?
I am good. How are you? This is Melinda Roy, and she is our host, Shruti.
Hi, Dr. Sheila. How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Nice to see you.
You too.
Uh, okay, so very early for you to start, is it?
Okay, I'm ready. Are you ready? I can share my screen now.
Yes, Sheila, before you start your session, I will give you a brief introduction of yours. After that,
Sure.
you can occupy the stage.
Great.
Yes, so Dr. Sheila Trapp is here now. She's on the stage. Welcome, Dr. Sheila. So, Dr. Sheila Trapp finds immense joy in her roles as a mother, wife, daughter, sister, and grandmother, which she treasures the most. Her grandchildren have enriched her life, inspiring personal growth. With extensive experience in senior level nonprofit leadership, she is deeply passionate about nurturing leadership at all levels, championing equity, and coaching the next generation of leaders. Dr. Trapp excels in fostering equity, inclusion, and belonging, enhancing organizational capacity, and cultivating emerging leaders. Her legacy includes the development of community programs, strong teams, and mentoring individuals to attain senior management positions. As a leadership coach at Rutgers University, she continues to advocate for aspiring leaders. A native, a native of New Jersey, Dr. Tapp is the owner of Estrella Consultant Group, redefining leadership. She holds a doctorate of management in organizational leadership along with master's degrees in organizational management and theological studies. Certified as a public manager, she is also a prolific author and a sought after international speaker on diverse leadership topics. Wow, wow, that's really great introduction, Dr.
Wow.
Sheila. So you can start the event. So you can start your beautiful presentation. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
We
It's
wish
so
you all.
difficult after all of that. Oh wow. I'm like, is she talking about me? Thank you
We
so
wish
much
you
for
all the
reading
very
that.
best for your speech.
Thank you. I am ready.
Okay.
Okay. So,
It's
good morning,
interesting.
everyone. I am Dr. Sheila Trapp. Most people call me Sheila, which is fine. And I'm really honored and pleased to be here today to talk to you about a leadership model that I've developed with the heart of the next generations of leaders in mind. And it's called EmPartnership. I've been sharing it across the world, and I'm really pleased to be able to share this information with you today. So let's get started. So first, I must tell you where I get my inspiration from when we're talking about the next generations of leaders. I, in my best life, am called Jeddah, which is grandmother in Arabic, and I have three beautiful grandchildren. I was blessed to spend a good amount of time, 3 years, in a household with my son, my only child, who's a millennial, with his wife, who's a Gen Z, and my grandchildren, who are the up and coming alphas, and which we are not prepared for. They are my biggest inspiration in terms of advocating for the next generations of leaders, moving out of their way and allowing them to lead and lead well. I also teach leadership and career development class at Rutgers University here in New Jersey, and I serve as a leadership coach. Those students who are coming out of our colleges are very different from us. I've learned so much from them, and in my learning and helping them develop, I've developed a model that I think could help organizations and young people develop strong leadership skills. So, a couple of things that I've learned, which I'm sure many of you have learned as well, is that the next generations that are coming behind us are changing traditional leadership. The millennials want purpose and fulfillment. That's my son. He's always wanted his own thing. Gen Z wants feedback and mentorship, which is really great to see. And Generation Alpha, so far from what we've learned about Generation Alpha, is they want equity. They're going to demand equity. They want to be engaged, equipped, and entrusted by people in our organizations. And I call them Generation Next, because they want to be empowered to use all that they bring to the world and to the table as partners in their professional growth and in our organization. So for them, it's not about, let's get this job, let's get our 401k, and then let's retire one day. They want purposeful exchanges within our organizations. So this is just a slide just to give you a visual of what I see so far with Generation Alpha. This is my granddaughter terrorizing my grandson, a picture of, and she's like, I'm not bossy. I have skills, leadership skills, understand? This is the generation that's coming after Gen Z that we are just not prepared for. My granddaughter is teaching me things every single day. One great example of her very quickly is she's playing the piano, and she called me, and she's playing the piano and she makes a mistake. And she says to me, "That's okay, Jetta. I could do it again." And she was 4 years old. And I was in awe because I know I was not like that at that age. I was trying to hide mistakes, and it really bothered me that other people would see that I did something wrong. And for her and this generation to come, making the mistake is going to be a part of their process. So it's part of what we need to remember when we're dealing with the next generations. Just to give you a background too about my practice, my foundation of practice, which I would think is a positive psychology, this quote actually meets that criteria for me. And it's where I find myself and where I find this leadership model. Between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. And I think as we think about teaching, coaching, and developing the next generations of leaders, it is in that space that we're trying to attach ourselves so that we can help them to become great people, but also extraordinary leaders. So the EmPartnership approach is about developing being a leader and not just doing leadership. It's about engaging an authentic self, encouraging an ultimate intelligence, which is the knowledge of self, engaging the human experience as a leader, igniting an understanding of purpose that's self and organizationally aligned, and developing people of high quality. And who wouldn't want to develop people of high quality? I know that we all do. But first things first, just a few explanations. We want inspiration and we want to inspire, but this generation to come wants to be inspired, but they also want to be empowered. They want us to give them permission, to give them power, not just inspire them, but to give them the right to do something. They also want co-ownership, but they want partnership. They want to bring their skills. They want to bring a personal edge into our organizations because they want the expectation of sharing in the professional growth and the organization's success. And this is where EmPartnership was born. How do I create this union? And how do we create training that encompasses the union of empowerment and partnership? So let's get started. The nuts and bolts and the elements of EmPartnering are, we start with integrity. We're developing a courage to lead. We're developing the soul intellect or spiritual intellect. We're prioritizing inspiration. We're developing and we're pushing forward with a co-ownership mindset. We're being sincere in our approach to the next generations and developing their leadership skills. And we're also creating an arena with the lack of judgment, personal judgment. So when we start with integrity, we want to start with things like the 4 pillars of integrity, which are really important. We talk about integrity all the time, and one of the ways that we describe it is it's really about the things that you're doing when no one's looking, and that's true. But there are so many pieces to integrity, and I think we need to take this and start teaching it again, because they involve so many things that really have to do with great people. They involve emotional intelligence, but in a way, when you're talking about emotional intelligence and you match it with integrity, then you see some of the bullets that you have up here. I'm not going to read all of them, but I will read just a couple of bullets so that you can kind of see where the teaching would go. So emotional intelligence matched with integrity is you're welcoming all authentic emotions, is energy moving through you, and you know what you're feeling. So it's not just unpacking feelings or being appropriate with our emotional intelligence at work. This is really about us and just allowing others to fully experience and express all of their feelings as well. We could talk about impeccable agreement when we talk about integrity. So it's not just keep your word. My father's main thing that he would say to us was, your word is your bond. He made us really, really clear on our word. But when you're talking about impeccable agreement, when it comes to integrity, you're talking about making agreements and not going against what you said. So we have to encourage people to make the agreements that they can make. Be clear on what and when you can do something, and don't just be yes people. Do what you can do. And if you say you're going to do it, do it. Healthy responsibility. When it comes to being integrous and being responsible, take 100% responsibility for all of your experiences. First time I read that, I wish someone had said that to me, that most things that are happening for a reason. Take responsibility for all of it and unpack those experiences just to make sure that if it's something you need to learn, learn it. And then conscious communication. When you match communication with integrity, there's so many things. You know, you have to listen with intention to yourself, but also genuinely understanding the experience of others. We also need to teach about courage. Leadership involves courage, and our training needs to talk about courage and the courage it takes to lead, the ability to do something that frightens us, and strength in the face of pain or grief. But a big reason why we need to teach about courage are the everyday courage that it takes to be leaders. Really talking about this and unpacking this information, even with the students at Rutgers University, is it's like a win-win. It's things that they want to talk about. They want to talk about moral courage. They want to talk about disciplined courage and things that come across every day where it takes courage to speak up for yourself, to speak up for others, to stand up for injustice as it occurs and not sit back and just allow things to happen and you're right there and you don't speak up. The intellectual courage, really challenging the assumptions of what's happening and challenging people. And when you don't understand, being able to say, I don't understand. And then pathetic courage, acknowledging things and moving away from this is that and this is that, really trying to get at how other people are feeling, how other people are chiming into the world and chiming into our organizations. And these are the courages that are required every day in organizations. And we really need to create space for people to be able to practice these things and call them as we see them, call them out. One of my favorite things to talk about and present about is spiritual or soul intelligence, SQ, because many people don't know about spiritual intelligence. Most people think that it's something that comes from religion and there is a soul intellect, just like there is an intellect or an emotional intelligence. And there are 12 principles of spiritual or soul intellect, which were coined by Zohar and Marshall, if anybody wants to look these principles up and learn more about them. The principles are self-awareness, spontaneity, being vision and value-led, holism, compassion, celebration of diversity, field independence, humility, tendency to ask fundamental questions, why are we doing things, ability to reframe, positive use of adversity, and a sense of vocation or purpose. These are the way that people make issues or problems, how they solve them, how they go about seeing the world. These are 12 principles. Once they're practiced within a leadership role, it really brings more of an authentic self and a self-awareness to the work that's being done. So teaching these and making the next generations of leaders aware of a spiritual and a soul intellect, I think it's very, very important. The other thing is prioritizing inspiration. People want to be inspired. The greatest thing that I know about the kids that I work with at Rutgers University and my own children is that they want to be inspired. They want to know they're doing a great job. We want to leave them with great feelings about themselves. And so we want to build up people around us. We want to be enthusiastic and have integrity and be empathetic. We want to maintain a positive outlook and practice gratitude and teach them to practice gratitude as well. We want to stand our ground and set clear goals and strive to achieve them. We want to have passion, but we also want to challenge them. I want to inspire you and make you feel great about yourself, but I also want to challenge you to do better and to be better. We also want to instill a co-ownership mindset. In this model, a big piece of this model is going from leader as what we used to do and what we're used to seeing to a different type of leader. We want to go from a commander and a controller, but we want to teach them about the old way of leading. We don't want to just teach what's new. We want to teach what was and what should be. We want them to go to a facilitator and conveners. We want to go from sole owner of the problem and the solution to a prime mover and a co-owner of the problems and the solutions. We want to go from having all of the answers to creator of the conditions where answers emerge. We want to go from a single intelligence to a focuser of collective attention and a distiller of collective intelligence. We want to go from the head of one generation or one organization to a ligament between organizations and institutions, from expert to non-expert, mobilizing expertise, which is a great skill. We also want to go from a holder of power to a distributor of power that enables new things to emerge. We also want to exercise sincerity. This is a really big deal. It has been a big deal for me in my leadership roles and even as a follower. Leadership in its truest sense requires from us an absolutely sincere and unconditional commitment to doing what is appropriate for the other in every moment. This type of sincerity can create great people and extraordinary leaders because people believe that you're sincere about their growth, you're sincere about acknowledging who they are in that space at that time and at that moment when they're in front of you or when they're asking questions or when they're looking for guidance, that it's important to you that moment that you're with them. We also need to create an arena with the lack of judgment. Probably like many of you, we've all worked in those blame cultures. We need to make sure that people have space to make mistakes because we all make mistakes. Like my granddaughter who's coming up, she's an alpha. She's going to make mistakes and she's going to admit those mistakes. We need to create space where people feel comfortable making mistakes and they're not afraid. They don't have to hide. We've all seen judgmental cultures and those blame cultures where they're so unhealthy. They're focusing on proactive problem solving instead of focusing on, proactive problem solving. They're assigning blame. This has to be someone's fault. Whose fault is this? And it is so unempowering. And the next generations of leaders are not going to participate in spaces where these things are happening. They're making their own choices about where they're going to work, how they're going to work, what they're going to do. And we have to make sure that we're creating a space where we're bringing in all of the great talents and abilities and the gifts that the next generations of leaders have and that they're going to bring into our organization. So it's really important that we create space for them to make mistakes and learn from their mistakes. The EmPartnership approach is a space for emerging leaders. We're encouraging and practicing how and when they should use their brilliance. So we're getting to a space, hopefully, where they're getting to know each other through a series of workshops, which the EmPartnership model encompasses, where people are becoming to understand, the next generations are coming to understand their own brilliance. The approach also teaches and guides leaders to lead upward. One of the ways that I always knew that I was doing a great job with the next generations of leaders as I'm coaching them is that they start correcting me. They start leading me. They start finding ways to say, well, I don't know about that. And chiming into a conversation with me about something that I may have said or a decision that I made. And we need to look for that. We need to inspire that leading upward. This approach actually brings out the best in other people because it gives people the opportunity to learn who they are and what they bring into this world and how important that is for themselves. But it also brings out the best in ourselves because we're helping other people grow and we're creating a space for our growth as well. So in conclusion, we must coach the next generation of leaders to be real. The greatest thing that we can do is to let people know that being yourself and being authentic is really a superpower. I tell people all the time, you can't beat me at being Sheila Trapp. Good, bad, or indifferent, this is me, this is who I am, you get me, you get all of this. And we need to make sure that we're coaching the next generations of leaders to embrace who they are, get to know who they are, put in the work to discover themselves, because the greatest thing you're ever going to know about this world is how you function in this world and who you are. And the next generations of leaders, they need coaching and development in a way that develops great people and extraordinary leaders. If we focus on developing just great people, we've already done something that's impactful and important for the longevity of this world and for the longevity of leadership in general. One of my favorite quotes and something that I live by with all of the students that I coach and even with my family, nieces and nephews, I spend time with the next generations of leaders because they need us. We are responsible for their development. We are responsible for their growth. And the best gift you are ever going to give someone is the permission to feel safe in their own skin, to feel worthy, and to feel like they are enough. And I just hope that you all receive something from this short presentation and that you are dedicated to being impactful and creating space for the next generations of leaders. If you want to know more about the EmPartnership approach or you want leadership coaching for your next generations of leaders in your organizations, please feel free to reach out to me. You can contact me on LinkedIn at Sheila R. Trapp, or you can email me at SheilaReneeConsult@gmail.com. I think my information is also in my bio, and it's Renee with an AE. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Sheila Trapp. What a wonderful speech. I was deeply connected with your talk, and I especially loved your quote which you presented towards the end of the speech. The main
Thank
pillars of integrity, even I was connected with that, like the emotional intelligence. I was taking notes on that. What a wonderful presentation all through. So we have a question, an interesting question from one of our audience. Please, I think Melinda Roy will be asking you that question. So, what do you think?
Yes, Sheila, here is the question from our audience. What values, beliefs, and aspirations of General Alpha, Generation Alpha differ from those of older generation?
Okay. His values, beliefs, and aspirations and are differ from those of older generations. So that's a really, really great question. Now I'm just learning about the alphas. My granddaughter is 7 and she's teaching me every day about the alphas. I think the alphas are coming with without fear. And I think what they're going to value is the ability to be themselves, the ability to believe that everybody's important. My granddaughter, an example is when we talk about diversity, they don't see color. They're so far removed from certain things that were so oppressive from back in the day. When we're talking about, oppression and slavery and things of that nature, they're so far removed from it, they don't see it unless we put that heavy burden on them. They believe that everybody's equal. We all believe that when we were younger, but I think that they have an extra special sense for being themselves and everybody bringing something special to the table. So far, that's what I see. I'm sure I'll write and speak more about it as I get to know that generation because they're so young, but they are quite fearless as well. Hope that answered your questions.
Yes, yes, sir. Dr. Sheila, that was really well answered. Thank you so much for your thoughtful presentation. Uh,
Thank
you
you.
really grabbed the attention of the audience.
Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
ladies
Did
and
you?
go ahead,
Thank
Sheila.
you. No, I was just saying thank you for the platform and for listening to me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's a great honor to have you on the stage. Ladies and
Thank
gentlemen, that's Sheila Craft, and you can see her contact information over there. You can screenshot it or you can reach to us. We will share that information with you.
thank
Thank you,
you.
Sheila.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Let's join the next session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please join other session, Janejila.